Let's start with Floyd Shivambu, truly the Ron Weasley of the original EFF. And yes, Malema is obviously Harry and Ndlozi is obviously Hermione. Gryffindor wears red. It's literally, it's right there. It's right there. No further questions. Much like Ron, Floyd Shivambu has bumbled his way into another disaster of his own making after he was fired as Secretary General of the eNCA party, and then Ron fought back. In a bombshell press conference late last week, Shivambu called Jacob Zuma, the leader of his own party, a gullible old man. He called the EFF a cult. He said the ANC served white interests, and he suggested that Jacob Zuma's daughter Duduzile is on drugs. He also said that he was investigating starting a new political party, but also wasn't leaving the eNCA party. He's investigating a new one, but staying in his old one, which ironically is something a drug addict would say. Double ironically, this is exactly what Zuma did when he joined eNCA and became its leader while insisting he was still part of the ANC, if you remember. But truly, the most Ron Weasley moment of all, and this might be my favorite political moment in South Africa this year, was when Shivambu was talking about why political parties should not be built around one powerful leader. And he used a very specific comparison, not once, not twice, but 3 times. See if you can spot it.
Stop these things that political parties are personal project, like a music band, Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes. That if Brenda Fassie is not there, the Black Dudes can't operate. A political party can't have that character. But you have got political organizations in this country which are like Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes.
Now, for those of you thinking, Brenda Fassie had a band called the Black Dudes. That's a strange name for a band. You're right, it is a strange name for a band, which is why Brenda Fassie's band was famously not called the Black Dudes. It was the Big Dudes. Brenda Fassie and the Big Dudes, not the Black Dudes. Floyd clearly had black dudes on his mind for some reason. I don't think Floyd was trying to be funny there either. I think he made a mistake, but then when everyone laughed at him, they thought they were laughing at his comparison, not his error, and so he said it 2 more times. Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes. What an absolute Ron Weasley. And South Africa, the funniest country on earth, had a field day, friends, with Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes. Here is a recently discovered album cover from Brenda and the Black Dudes. Here is another one. Here is a rare photo from one of their biggest performances. And here is the day when Brenda debuted her famous entrance of running at the stage at her gigs. And then here is the most famous day of all, where Brenda Fassie and the Black Dudes made it all the way to the White House. Isn't it so nice seeing South Africans get international recognition? Thank you, Tyler, for leading the way so that Brenda and the Black Dudes could stand on the shoulders of giants at the White House. Now, that is genuinely an all-time generational screw-up. Okay, since Shivambu's press conference, he has gone all in on creating a new political party, which is clearly what he is doing, right? It's clearly what he was going to do all along. South African politics has a long-running tradition of people pretending that they haven't decided they are going to start a new party. Then they go on a listening tour to hear what the people want, and then they start the party they were always going to start. Floyd dropped a video yesterday where he claimed that they had received messages of support from millions of South Africans without evidence. Now, I want you to quickly think about that claim. Taylor Swift gets millions of messages of support. Real Madrid gets millions of messages of support. Floyd Shivambu, millions of messages of support. The only millions Floyd is associated with is the millions he allegedly stole from VBS Bank. Allegedly. Allegedly. It was his brother. Allegedly. So Floyd is clearly starting a new party, but the million rand question is, would anybody vote for Floyd? He is widely considered an uncharismatic person who does not inspire support from voters. Malema and Ndlozi were always seen as the people who won votes for the EFF. Most commentators believe Floyd would have to convince some big political names with a successful track record to join him, but who? Who would abandon whatever they are doing for yet another political party, especially after underwhelming results for big names who started their own parties, from Action SA to Bosa? Bosa in particular is interesting, people. Musi Maimane went from securing millions and millions of votes as DA leader, coming second only to Ramaphosa's ANC, to scrounging just 135,000 votes for Bosa last year. Less than 0.5% of the national vote, just 2 seats in parliament. Now think about Maimane's appeal to voters versus Shivambu's. Another example, Herman Mashaba's Action SA got just 1.2% of the vote, even after Mashaba's popular spell as Joburg mayor. Gayton McKenzie's PA got just 2% of the vote. It's tough starting fresh, people, even with huge names. After all of that, who would take a risk and join Floyd? Now, some are saying his old mate and the People's Bay, Mbuyiseni Ndlozi, but Ndlozi seems to really be enjoying his radio show, I have to say. And when Ndlozi left the EFF, he said, quote, he was leaving party politics as a whole, could not hold a single party membership, and he would contribute elsewhere for the remaining decades of his life. Why would Ndlozi go back on that and go through the struggle of starting a whole new party again? Unclear. Plus, he's clearly flirting with the ANC. Do you see how much posting he's doing about Mbeki? He's clearly flirting with the ANC. So we wait to see who, if anyone, will go with Floyd into this new political party. This may well be the latest big error from Floyd Shivambu Weasley. Okay, now we need to talk about Duduzile Nkabane, Minister of Higher Education. She is in massive trouble over SETA, the Sector Education and Training Authority. Now, if you don't know, Nkabane has the authority, and she appointed a number of board members who were connected to the ANC onto these new boards, including the son of ANC chairperson Gwede Mantashe, an absolute political heavyweight in South Africa. I didn't realize we were going to use that picture of Mantashe. I just want to be clear, when I said he was a heavyweight, I meant a big deal. I meant a big deal. I will not be cancelled for this. This show loves all bodies. Hashtag body positive, hashtag self-love, hashtag celebrate my size, hashtag all bodies are good bodies, hashtag curvy girl. Okay, so those are all popular hashtags. I Googled it. Okay, so Minister Nkabane was slammed for deploying ANC-connected people to powerful board positions at SETA. Can it get worse? The appointments were withdrawn, and Nkabane claimed that she had made these appointments with an independent panel of advisors. But then, in a parliamentary committee hearing, she refused to tell anyone who was on her advisory panel. And she was, to put it mildly, very difficult in that meeting.
Minister?
What makes a person credible, Chair, is exactly how it is defined when you Google. By encyclopedia, you'll see what it means. It's exactly that.
You are not going to answer us.
Okay, she was criticized for something else in that committee meeting because she was eating while speaking. But in her defense, the committee chairperson had invited everyone to eat while working because it was a long session. But that's where my defending of her ends. Because what do you mean you told someone to Google what credible means? You refuse to answer the questions that you must answer as part of your job. And then when the guy asked him, when the chair asked her, why aren't you, so what, you're not going to answer these questions? She said, no, I responded. That's so disrespectful. And she went viral for that bad behavior. And then the president demanded that she explain herself to him directly. Can it get worse?
How much worse?
Nkabane released the names of the panel, the people allegedly on her advisory panel, including advocate Terry Motau, who then immediately came out, Terry Motau, and said he was part of no such panel, never met Nkabane, and never received any documentation relating to the work. In fact, in a letter from Motau to Nkabane, advocate Motau wrote, quote, you would also know that you received no communication, report, shortlist, assessment, or recommendations from me. You further would know that the upshot of all this is that you intended to appoint me chair of the committee, and that intention never materialized. Which is advocate speak for liar, liar, pants on fire. It seems she lied to Parliament and the nation. Can it get worse?
How much worse?
Nkabane has now also been accused of ignoring serious corruption allegations at SETA because of course she has. Can it get worse?
How much worse?
I honestly don't know if it will get worse. We'll have to wait and see. But surely she must be fired, people. She's the Minister of Higher Education. She's the Minister of University Students. Imagine if any student had lied to an authority about plagiarizing and lying about their work like she had lied. Call me crazy, but I think the Minister of Higher Education should be held to the same standard as the university students she presides over. You know what I'm saying? It's like, come on. But whatever happens with Nkabane, it is absolutely scandalous that someone like this became a government minister in the first place. Where was the oversight? Surely we knew. Just like it was absolutely scandalous that Thembi Simelane became justice minister, somebody who's got no legal qualifications, who was then exposed for potential wrongdoing in her past. It was scandalous after that Thembi Simelane wasn't fired for that, but rather just moved to be Minister of Human Settlements instead. Scandalous. Yes, you must laugh. It's so stupid that it's a joke. This is our cabinet, people. These are ANC ministers appointed by the president. And the president has to finally start taking responsibility for his ministers. All of this is happening on his watch. Ramaphosa needs to deal with this decisively, or his party needs to face the consequences at the next election, which is literally next year, I will remind you. It's not 2029, it's next year, 26 local. We can't have this happening in our highest political offices any longer. Cool. Rant over. Thank you very much.